Dee smiled slightly. Mr. Reeves is persistent. He'd consider it a personal favor if you'd agree to meet him, just for coffee. 15 minutes of your time. Nina hesitated. She didn't want anything from this man. Didn't want to be paraded around as some feel-good story for the rich people to marvel at. But something in David's expression or kindness beneath the professional exterior made her reconsider. Okay, she said finally. Coffee. 15 minutes. The coffee shop was in a part of town Nina rarely visited. Too expensive, too fancy. But David had insisted on meeting there, saying Mr. Reeves was staying nearby during his recovery. Nina arrived 10 minutes early, wearing her nicest outfit to a simple dress she'd bought at a thrift store for Sophie's school concert. She felt underdressed and out of place among the laptop-wielding professionals and designer handbag crowd. Then Alexander Reeves walked in, and every head turned. He was maybe 45, with silver at his temples and an air of authority that came from years of being listened to. But he looked different than he had at the gala, or more human. Somehow, tired. Humbled. He spotted Nina and walked directly to her table. Miss Martinez. Thank you for coming. His handshake was firm, warm. Please, sit. Can I get you anything? Coffee, tea, something to eat? Just coffee is fine, Nina said, feeling awkward. He ordered for both of them. Seemed to know the barrister by name, which surprised Hira, and returned to the table. I wanted to thank you properly, he said without preamble. You saved my life. The doctors were very clear about that. Without your intervention, I would have died on that ballroom floor. I'm glad I was there, Nina said simply. Most people wouldn't have done what you did, Alexander continued. The ballroom was full of successful people. Doctors, lawyers, business executives. And they all just stood there, panicking. But you were a woman who was there to clean up after you, so you ran toward the crisis. You knew what to do. You acted. Nina shifted uncomfortably. I took a CPR class. That's all. No, Alexander said firmly. It's not all. You had the training, yes. But you also had the courage to use it. The compassion to help a stranger. The presence of mind to stay calm under pressure. Those things can't be taught. He leaned forward. I want to do something for you. To thank you. Name anything. Within reason, of course, but I suspect I can manage most reasonable requests. I don't want anything, Nina said immediately. Alexander studied her. Everyone wants something. Not from you, Nina replied, more sharply than she'd intended. I didn't help you because I wanted a reward. I helped you because you needed help. That's all. I understand, Alexander said quietly, and I respect that. But please, let me do something. Let me at least cover your expenses for that evening. The dry cleaning for your uniform. The time you took to come here today. Something. Nina started to refuse again. Then she thought about Sophie. About the stack of medical bills from her daughter's asthma treatments last year. About the summer camp Sophie had begged to attend but Nina couldn't afford. There is something, she heard herself say. Alexander's eyes lit up. Name it. My daughter, Sophie. She's 10. She wants to go to science camp this summer. It's a week-long program at the university. Very competitive, and she got accepted. But it costs $800. And I can't. Nina's voice broke. I can't afford it. I've been working extra shifts, but it's just not enough. Done, Alexander said immediately. The camp is paid for. Consider it handled. That's too much, Nina protested. I didn't mean. You saved my life, Alexander interrupted gently. $800 is nothing. Less than nothing. Let me do this. Please. Let me give your daughter an opportunity she's earned. Nina felt tears threatening. Thank you, she whispered. You have no idea what this means to her. To both of us. I think I do, Alexander said softly. I have a daughter too. She's 17 now, and I realized something when I woke up in that hospital bed. I've been so busy building my company, making money, chasing success, that I've barely been present for her life. I've missed recitals and games and parent-teacher conferences. I've been a provider but not a father. He smiled sadly. Your daughter is lucky. She has a mother who works herself to exhaustion to give her opportunities to learn CPR so she can help people, who raises her daughter to understand that people matter more than profit. That's worth more than all the money I could ever make. They talked for an hour. Somehow, 15 minutes turned into 60. And Nina found herself opening up to this stranger in ways she hadn't expected. She told him about Sophie's father, who'd left when their daughter was 2. About working 3 jobs to make ends meet until she'd burned out and had to cut back to 2. About the constant fear of one unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, sending their whole fragile existence crashing down. And Alexander talked too, about his own childhood, growing up poor in a small town, about working his way through college, building his first company from nothing, about the divorce 3 years ago that had shattered his relationship with his daughter Emma. Success is supposed to make everything better, he said quietly. That's what I thought. Make enough money, and all your problems disappear. But money doesn't fix loneliness. It doesn't repair broken relationships. It doesn't give you back the time you wasted chasing things that don't matter. What matters? Nina asked. Alexander smiled. A few nights ago, I would have given you a speech about innovation and market share and quarterly earnings. But now, after dying and being brought back by a janitor who owed me nothing, now I think it's simpler than that. Connection, compassion, being present for the people who matter, making the world slightly better than you found it. He looked at Nina. You do that every day. Probably without even realizing it. You're the kind of person who runs toward emergencies instead of away from them, who helps without expecting anything in return. The world needs more people like you. The world needs more people who pay janitors enough to live on, Nina said, then immediately regretted it. I'm sorry. That was true. Alexander finished. Don't apologize. You're absolutely right. And that's something I'm going to change. 2 weeks later, Nina received a call from the convention center's management. Miss Martinez, we need to discuss your position with the company. Nina's heart sank. She was being fired. The wealthy people had complained about her, about the janitor who dared to touch Alexander Reeves, about her. We're promoting you, the manager continued, to facilities supervisor. It comes with a significant raise, better benefits, and day shift hours. Mr. Reeves made a very generous donation to the convention center, with the stipulation that we review our employment practices and ensure our staff are compensated fairly. Your name came up specifically. Nina couldn't breathe. What? You start Monday. Congratulations, Miss Martinez. It's well deserved. After she hung up, Nina sat in her car in the parking lot and cried. Real, ugly, grateful tears that she'd been holding back for years. Day shift meant she'd be home for dinner with Sophie. The raise meant they could afford the asthma medication without choosing between that and groceries. The benefits meant actual health insurance, not just praying nothing went seriously wrong. One act of kindness, no, one act of basic human decency had changed everything. A month later, Nina was supervising the setup for another charity gala when Alexander found her. Miss Martinez. Nina, do you have a moment? She turned, surprised. Mr. Reeves. I didn't know you'd be here. I'm on the board for this charity, he said. Children's Hospital fundraiser. And I wanted to see you, to tell you something. He pulled out his phone and showed her a photo of a teenage girl with dark hair and bright eyes, laughing at something off camera. This is Emma, my daughter. We had dinner last week. Talked for 3 hours. Really talked. For the first time in years. Nina smiled. That's wonderful. It happened because of you, Alexander said. Because dying made me realize I'd been living wrong. Chasing the wrong things. Neglecting the people who matter. You gave me a second chance, Nina. Not just to live, but to fix what I'd broken. He pocketed his phone. So thank you for saving my life. Yes. But more than that, for reminding me what life is actually for. You're welcome, Nina said softly. There's something else, Alexander continued. I'm starting a foundation for single parents working multiple jobs, providing grants for education, childcare, medical expenses. The things that keep good people trapped in poverty despite working themselves to death. I'd like you to be on the advisory board. Your perspective, Your experience here, it's invaluable. Me? Nina laughed. I'm not qualified for a. You're the most qualified person I know. Alexander interrupted. You live this reality. You understand what people need. And you have the compassion and the wisdom to help guide how we distribute resources. Please say yes. Nina thought about 10-year-old her, growing up in a cramped apartment with a single mother who worked 3 jobs. About all the times they'd needed help and been too proud to ask. About Sophie, and all the other children growing up in similar circumstances. Yes, she said. I'll do it. 6 months later, Nina stood on the stage of that same grand ballroom, speaking at the Foundation's inaugural gala. I never expected to be here, she told the crowd of donors and board members. 6 months ago, I was the janitor cleaning this room. I was invisible to most of you, just part of the scenery. Someone who emptied your trash and mopped your floors. She saw some people shift uncomfortably, but then something happened. A man collapsed, and in that moment, all the barriers disappeared. It didn't matter that he was a billionaire and I was a janitor. It didn't matter that he wore a tuxedo and I wore a cleaning uniform. All that mattered was that he was a human being who needed help, and I had the ability to give it. She smiled. That moment changed both our lives. Mr. Reeves got a second chance to rebuild his relationships and refocus his priorities. And I got an opportunity to help other people who are struggling the way I struggled, who are working themselves into exhaustion just to survive. Nina looked directly at Alexander, sitting in the front row beside his daughter Emma. We all have the ability to save each other, she said, not just with CPR or medical intervention, but with compassion, with opportunity, with the simple recognition that every person has value, regardless of their job title or bank account. That the woman cleaning your office might be the one who saves your life someday. That the janitor might have wisdom you desperately need to hear. She paused. So thank you, Mr. Reeves, for listening, for learning, for using your second chance to help others get first chances. And thank you all for being here tonight, for choosing to see people who society usually overlooks, for understanding that we're all in this together, and that how we treat the most vulnerable among us defines who we really are. The room erupted in applause. Later, as the gala wound down, Sophie ran up to Nina, her eyes shining. Alexander had arranged for her to attend and had even bought her a beautiful dress that made her feel like a princess. Mom, this is amazing. Mr. Reeves's daughter Emma showed me around. Did you know she wants to be a doctor? She said I should definitely keep studying science. She said girls like us need to dream big. Nina hugged her daughter close. Girls like us can do anything. I know, Sophie said confidently. You showed me that. You saved someone's life, Mom. You're a hero. No, baby, Nina said. I'm just someone who helped when help was needed. That's all any of us should be. But as she watched Sophie run off to find Emma again, as she looked around at the foundation they'd built and the lives they'd already changed, Nina allowed herself to feel proud. She'd kissed a billionaire to save his life, and somehow, miraculously, they'd saved each other. That night, after the gala ended and the guests went home, Nina found herself back in the grand ballroom with a broom. Old habits died hard. She was sweeping near the stage when Alexander appeared. You don't have to do that anymore, he said gently. You're the facilities supervisor now, and a foundation board member. You have people for this. I know, Nina said. But there's something grounding about it. Something that reminds me where I came from, where I still am. Really? The promotion and the board seat are wonderful, but at the end of the day, I'm still Nina Martinez. Still a single mom doing her best. Still someone who believes in the dignity of honest work. Alexander picked up a trash bag and started helping her clean. What are you doing? Nina asked, startled. Honest work, Alexander said simply. You've taught me a lot these past 6 months, Nina. About humility, about service, about remembering that no job is beneath us if it needs doing, about treating everyone with respect, regardless of where they fall on the corporate hierarchy. They cleaned in comfortable silence. Can I tell you something? Alexander said eventually. That night I collapsed, in those moments before you started CPR, I had this strange thought. I thought about all the things I'd accomplished, the companies I'd built, the deals I'd closed, the money I'd made, and I realized that none of it mattered. None of it would be remembered. None of it meant anything. He looked at Nina. But what you did, that act of compassion, that willingness to help a stranger, that tripled out. It changed me, which changed how I treat people, which changed my relationship with my daughter, which led to this foundation, which will help thousands of families. One moment of kindness, multiplying endlessly. That's all any of us can do, Nina said. One moment at a time. One person at a time. Trying to be decent. Trying to help. Hoping it matters. It matters, Alexander said firmly. It matters more than you know. They finished cleaning the ballroom together, the billionaire and the janitor, working side by side, proving that in the end, we're all just people doing our best to leave the world a little better than we found it. One kind act at a time. The end.